Hi, I'm Mika White, and I originally found Mandy because I realized I still had some residual bloating in my bladder from a diagnosis of interstitial cystitis around 2018. And I also had a ton of recurrent fungal infections as well as BV and UTIs.
I'm her husband, Matt White, and I've been on this journey with her now for 4 years. We've been married, and since the day we got married, she was having different issues, uh, some that were much more complex than I had ever understood because I'm a health coach myself. And then when my wife told me that she had found Mandy, I was like, hey, we need some extra help. So let's get somebody to look at this because this is above my pay grade.
I can't remember a time that I felt totally healthy, maybe sometime before high school, like 14, 15. That's the
Mm-hmm.
last time I can remember having some semblance of energy and a healthy body.
Wow.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I went on a whole slew of going down this investigative route of trying to figure out what was going on. Eventually got diagnosed with interstitial cystitis, and they treated me with a series of back-to-back antibiotics that sort of made the situation worse. And they also gave me nortriptyline for pain, for nerve pain in my bladder. And I found out through Mandy's program that that causes histamine. So it blocks your body's ability to break down histamine. So I started to develop more gut issues because of the medications that
Mhm.
the conventional doctors had put me on. So things like food allergies, I started noticing symptoms of histamine intolerance and like hiving when I would eat certain foods like nightshades and things like that. And this was only after being put on a series of antibiotics and nortriptyline to fix my bladder issues.
Mhm.
I had severe fatigue. I would get up so late in the afternoon, like I'd sleep all day and then wake up tired and then have trouble going to bed. Getting to bed is severe, severe insomnia, that sort of like tired but wired feeling. And that was really frustrating because I wanted to get up and be with my husband and hang out, but I just was in this recurrent state of constantly being tired. And I also had a lot of
Severe joint pain,
joint pain, a
which
lot of joint
we did
pain,
not know was from oxalates.
oxalates,
And I, being a health coach, had her eating oxalates, tons of them,
and we
making the
correct it
situation worse.
and we fix it.
Yeah, Mandy fixed it. Thank you.
And joint pain, brain fog, severe brain fog. I would stumble through sentences and lose my words in the middle of sentences and just kind
Mm-hmm.
of stop talking and blank stare, trying to gather my thoughts. It was pretty bad. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, frequency in urination. I had to pee a lot. And if ever I had to hold it, if we were like driving from here to church or to somebody's house, it would be really painful and burning if while the urine was sitting inside my bladder, there would be a lot of pain, a lot of achiness,
Mm-hmm.
feeling like I was going to throw up. The pain was just so intense. And I had issues with my urea cycle. So as I was urinating, I could smell like ammonia. And I had a lot of issues with regulation there. And what else? Recurrent bacterial vaginosis, fungal infections, oral thrush. Anywhere I had an orifice, there was thrush there. And what else, babe?
I think that's it on the bladder.
Yeah. I actually went to a specialist at Vanderbilt. He was a bladder specialist in the urology section of the hospital. And they did these different testings to try to figure out what was going on. And a lot of it was very physically invasive. They would probe you and go through, it was very invasive procedures to get to your bladder to see if there was anything physically wrong that they could see. And because they couldn't find anything, any anatomical deficits in my bladder, they eventually led to the diagnosis of interstitial cystitis just because of the symptoms. So um, that was tough because it was really invasive, very painful,
Mm-hmm.
and really there was no successful treatments or cure at the end of it, as far as conventional therapies go, for me anyway. So I eventually saw an OBGYN who told me that I had PCOS and a bunch of cysts on my ovaries, which I had never had before previously in my life. Only in my later adult years did I get diagnosed with that. That was something I never really dealt with, and recurrent fungal infections and BV. I had an infection when I was at the not the OBGYN, I'm sorry, the gynecologist. Did I say OBGYN? At the gynecologist, yeah, they diagnosed me with PCOS and they saw cysts on my ovaries. And while I was there getting checked for that, they found several other infections like bacterial vaginosis as well as like a UTI. So I kind of just lived in that state of always having an infection.
Mm-hmm.
With Dr. Mandy, I've learned through her program, which she doesn't miss anything. She's very intelligent and you check everything, your body's an entire system, and she knows exactly what to look for. And working with her, I'm so grateful because we found that my root cause was actually mold. I had lived in a room in a high school for 2 years straight that later got tested and had black mold. And I realized that that was my root cause for all of the issues that I started to have.
Mm-hmm. And we would have missed it. We would have missed it because the first test we did didn't show mold. And then you were like, no, she probably has mold. We just probably can't see it. Let's do another test. And then there it was, everything lit up like a Christmas tree that she had literally tested for every form of mold that test could read.
So I found out through Mandy's program that I had an oxalate sensitivity or oxalate toxicity. And prior to learning about what that even was in her program, a lot of the symptoms that I just learned to deal with on a daily basis was chronic joint pain, just globally from head to toe.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what else?
Food sensitivities,
Food sensitivities from
like having upset stomach and diarrhea and things from foods that wouldn't make, it doesn't make any sense to have food sensitivities, like not gluten, things like that. Although we did find gluten sensitivity too, but like certain vegetables, certain fruits, we didn't know she was having oxalate flare-ups.
Yeah.
And I was force feeding her oxalates, so juicing and certain herbal teas that were loaded with oxalates. Oh my god,
it's okay. And I started to gain some weight. I gained about 10 pounds, and my thyroid started to become a little sluggish. And it was really great during my healing journey. Any questions that I had, or even my husband, she was always really quick to answer. And her modules, once you work with her, she has these video modules and information that if you go through all of it, you really will get educated on everything that's going on in your body, and you learn a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And every answer that you have, or every question that you have, she has an answer for it. And it wasn't a mystery with her versus in the conventional world. It was always just kind of, they sort of left you hanging, or they're just like, Google it and good luck and hope it goes well. But Mandy has actual scientific based answers. And if you follow everything that she says and do it well, you will recover. There's no question about it.
Yeah. Even I would go on and say this, I work with a lot of specialists, a lot of them, especially for people with cancer. And we went to a naturopath. Well, I think she was call herself a naturopath before we came to Mandy. And she really did not help Mica at all.
No.
She did find gluten sensitivity. That was one thing she did right. But all the rest of the stuff she did was based on zero testing. This was the biggest difference, was that, and I've worked with some integrative specialists that are amazing doctors, and none of them went to the level of testing to find out how her body worked, how her detox pathways were or were not open, her genetic profile, any of these things. None of them even considered these things. And so when we would find weird things in her blood work, like low ceruloplasm, they're recommending, oh, okay, take some copper. So we're like, oh, here, take some copper. Little did we know she's completely copper toxic. And so by taking that, it made her feel horrible, and we would never have known why. And then the amount of insight that you have for the testing and the products, the Vicon, the Zeocharge, all these things, they actually work. Like, I'm in shock of how well they work. They actually work. They legit work.
And my bladder have improved since joining Dr. Mandy's program immensely. I have no pain. I don't burn in my bladder anymore. I don't wake up in the middle of the night with burning in my bladder, needing to run to the restroom to use the bathroom. Mm-hmm. The frequency of the urination has gotten a lot less. It's less now. And I don't have infections anymore. No more. I don't have fungal infections anymore. I haven't had a UTI, and I can't remember the last time I've had a UTI.
At least a
It's
year.
been about a year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I used to just live in a state of UTI. So, um, yeah, my as far as interstitial cystitis in my bladder goes, that has actually starting to become one of the lesser issues because it sort of quickly resolved in your program,
Mm-hmm.
and other things that started to come up with other testing and deep thorough testing that you do. And so our focus is kind of shift because the interstitial cystitis issues and the bladder pain,
We don't really think about it.
we don't think about it
Mm-mm.
anymore because it's really not a forefront issue. Absolutely. I would recommend Dr. Mandy to anybody with interstitial cystitis or any sort of bladder issue or even UTI. You might not even know you have interstitial cystitis, but if you're having recurrent UTIs that you're frustrated with or bacterial vaginosis, anything along those lines, I would definitely recommend you to work with Dr. Mandy. She has such thorough answers. She has the science background. She's very intelligent. She's very kind, and she has the answers, and her protocols are very fine tuned. If you follow them, you will get relief. You will see success. So, one thing that I've learned, the really important thing that I've learned being in Mandy's program, as she's a doctor but a functional nutritionist as well, I've learned that she actually gets to the root cause of things, which is what's really important when you are seeing disorder or disease in your body. You have to get to the root of it. You can't just expect to take a pharmaceutical medicine and think that that's going to heal you.
Nope.
It may give you temporary relief, but I personally in my life have experienced negative side effects from being on pharmaceutical medications like Nexium and antibiotics and nortriptyline for too many years.
Mm-hmm.
And we've even been able to address that as a byproduct of just being in Mandy's program. She's actually fixed some of those negative side effects that I've experienced with those medicines in her program, as well as address the root issue. So, I think it's all about functional nutrition. It's about getting your organs and your body to function again through using the nutraceuticals and nutritional protocols versus just a pill or pharmaceutical medications. And I also realized how important diet is in her program. You have to eat accordingly. You have to eat whole foods. You can't eat junk food. I used to have a severe sugar addiction long before I met and married Matt. And I realized now in retrospect how much that damaged my body, how much that damaged my metabolism and organs, and um, fed the candida issues and UTI issues and bladder
Mm-hmm.
issues that I was having. Excuse me. And I learned I learned in Dr. Manny's program that you have to eat well to heal the cell and be well. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't mean to rhyme, but you have to eat well, and nutrition is really important.
Oh yeah, big time. I'd say that one of the biggest takeaways I had from this was that the one size fits all appearance of natural health, like take this supplement, it's good for you. Take this, it's good for you. This diet's good for you. Without testing, without knowing what your individual nutritional deficiencies are, what your oxidation rates are, how your metabolism is, without knowing that stuff, a lot of that stuff can be detrimental to people. Not everything natural is good for everyone. Definitely pharmaceuticals don't help anyone. I mean, they do temporarily in some situations for a
Short
minute,
term.
short term, but you stay on anything pharmaceutical that's synthetic in a biological system, it's like putting the wrong code into a different computer. It's going to create problems. And I think we've spent more time cleaning up their mess that they created for her than than they were able to help her at all. But I would say that to anybody is you need to get testing done to see where you're at, and just assume you have imbalances, assume they're there because the diets are poor, the lifestyles are poor, and then the diet and the nutraceuticals and just knowing where you're at, you can turn this stuff around pretty quick
Mm-hmm.
if you're driving without your blinders on. If you actually know which direction you're going and you can measure your results, you can get there really fast.
Yeah, it's not an impossible situation. If you're in this situation, there
Mm-mm.
is an answer, and we believe it's Dr. Mandy.
Yeah, amen.
Her program is awesome.